Chosen ones, listen closely. What I'm about to reveal isn't random. It's divinely aligned. If your eyes are on this message right now, it's not by chance. God has brought you here with a sacred revelation that can shift everything. He has released a holy instruction meant specifically for you. Place this in water overnight. Yes, this small action carries a supernatural force designed to activate your blessings and unlock a flow of miracles in your life. You are no longer only hoping. What you've been praying for, longing for, believing for, it is ready to move from the unseen realm into your reality. A divine transition is now unfolding. A powerful spiritual awakening prepared solely for you, the chosen one. But you must move quickly. Don't scroll away. Don't delay. This word demands your full attention and instant obedience. This is your moment to align with God's schedule and step straight into the season of your breakthrough. Before we go any further, there are 3 things I need you to do. First, tap that like button. Second, subscribe. Third, comment the number 99 below. Why? Because it becomes a spiritual signal that amplifies the vibration of your manifestation. If you truly are among the chosen, you will stay with this message until the very end because your spirit already knows it's meant for you. If you're not prepared, you may exit here. But those who continue, prepare yourselves. Your life is about to shift forever. Now both physically and spiritually receive this. And let's go deeper into the divine revelation God has just released for you. Your miracle begins now. Have you ever stood at the brink of your life? Felt pressure rising, pain building, questions without answers? We've all stood in that place. But what if I told you healing doesn't always arrive with explosions and wonders? Sometimes it arrives quietly. Sometimes it comes through obedience. And right now, the gentle whisper is saying, take that paper, take that water, plant the seeds, leave it until morning. This is not superstition. It's not emotional manipulation. It is a divine protocol from heaven. And if your spirit is awake, you can feel the truth of it now. Science tells us about energy exchange, about elements responding to intent and frequency. Spiritually, this instruction carries that very same resonance. You're being invited to align with something beyond logic, ancient, powerful, and deeply transformative. So this simple act, placing a sheet of paper, watching your reflection, dropping those dark seeds, is not pointless. It is a deep spiritual cleansing. God is about to remove what has been contaminating your spirit, and you don't need full understanding for it to work. You simply need to trust the instruction. Healing doesn't always thunder. Sometimes it arrives quietly, like sunrise slipping through a narrow window. This is your appointed moment. You landed on this message not by coincidence, but by divine timing. God is declaring you are ready. The doorway is open, but you must walk through it. You have cried for relief. You have pleaded for answers. You have asked God to reveal the way, and now He has. The key is in your hands. Your healing is activated. The real question is whether you will obey or allow doubt to delay your transformation. Chosen one. That isn't a label thrown loosely. It is who you are in this season. You didn't arrive here by random scrolling. You were summoned. Heaven has orchestrated this moment to shift your entire atmosphere. And this shift begins not with applause, not with eyes watching, but with a cup of water, a piece of paper, and the seeds of restoration. Tonight is far from ordinary. It is holy. What you decide in the next few hours may echo into the next 7 years of your journey. Obedience isn't simply a religious routine. It is alignment with the divine. When the Creator gives an instruction, it is never accidental. It is intentional. It is purposeful. It is charged with power. Don't seek approval from people who cannot comprehend the anointing on your life. You were never called to convince. You were called to obey. So tonight, prepare your room, quiet your thoughts, and follow every divine step with care. For some, this act will silence mental chaos. For others, physical healing will begin its course. But for everyone who obeys, transformation is on the way. Delay has always been the enemy of destiny. Many lose their moment because they question instead of surrender. Don't let that be your story. If you've ever felt right on the edge of breakthrough, but something kept pulling you back, tonight becomes your turning point. This is your sacred instruction. You ask God for direction. This is what heaven has delivered. Do not handle it lightly. Respond without delay. Heaven is in motion. Now maybe you're asking, why leave the page empty? Why not write your prayers, your names, your intentions? The meaning is profound. The blank page is your surrender. It is your announcement to the divine. God, you take over this chapter. You are handing the pen to heavenly authorship. You are saying, I'm done writing my own story of pain. I release it to you now. The paper isn't meant for words. It's meant for transformation. And when you lower it into the water, something spiritual begins to move. Not around you, in you. Water, in both ancient teachings and modern science, is a powerful conductor. It holds memory. It carries frequency. It reveals truth. When you submerge the paper and release the black seeds, you are not simply combining materials. You are activating a spiritual mechanism, one that cleanses, absorbs, and begins healing at the level of soul and cell. This is not magic. It is divine wisdom responding to obedient action. And when you look into that water and see your own reflection, you come face to face with something sacred. You, your soul, your journey. This becomes a mirror moment. You're no longer running from the ache, the trauma, the questions. You're confronting them, and the reflection will not deceive you. It will reveal where you stand and who you are becoming. Never minimize this act. It is a spiritual catalyst. Miracles begin with alignment. The shadow you notice in the water is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to instruct you. For too long, we've been taught to avoid the dimmer parts of ourselves. But true healing doesn't come by hiding. It comes through facing truth. When you look into that water, you're not just seeing features. You're coming face to face with the parts of your soul that have been silently longing to be seen. God is not interested only in repairing your body or settling your thoughts. He desires to unveil what has been buried. This act opens a spiritual window. As you gaze into that water, you may feel emotion. Rise. That is not weakness. That is release. It is the start of vision returning. What therapy couldn't label, what doctors couldn't pinpoint, what friends couldn't articulate, God is preparing to uncover in one quiet moment through your reflection in that deep blue water. Science calls it neuroplasticity. Spirit calls it revelation. Whatever name you choose, understand this. God is revealing a version of you that has been hidden. Stronger, lighter, more complete. You cannot transform what you refuse to see. This water, this holy act, becomes the lens heaven uses to help you finally see yourself with accuracy. No distortion, no guilt, only truth. And from that truth comes the first step of your breakthrough. When God gives an instruction, it is never optional. It is a divine task. And hear me well. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. The moment you encountered this message, something shifted in the unseen realm. This is your assignment. This is your call into action. God is not requesting anything heavy or expensive. He is asking for your faith expressed through obedience. This sacred practice becomes a doorway into deeper healing, divine alignment, and supernatural insight. Your assignment today is not coincidental, not for entertainment. It is for recalibration. Every hour you felt stuck, every tear cried in confusion, every opportunity that seemed to shut in your face, this is the answer. This instruction is God's prescription. And like any wise physician, he says, take it now, not later. Timing is critical. Don't reason it away. Don't spiral into overthinking. Don't allow doubt to rob you of this holy moment. If your eyes are on this message, you have been chosen to respond now. Not tomorrow, not eventually, now. Many people spend their lives searching for purpose, pleading for signs, waiting for dramatic confirmation. But when the answer comes softly, wrapped in simplicity, it is easy to overlook. Don't be the one who overlooks. Don't treat the sacred as common. This isn't just a clip or a message. It is a divine encounter between your soul and your Creator. God is speaking. Your healing, your understanding, your restoration is waiting. But it all begins with your yes. Let's make this plain. This isn't a motivational hack. It isn't optional advice. It is a divine directive, one that carries the power to redirect your entire life's path. God never wastes words. He never gives meaningless instructions. So if he said to soak it overnight, if he said, release the black seeds, then it carries a purpose bigger than what you can see right now. It is about destiny. It is about timing. It is about transformation. Disobedience is not always loud. Sometimes it hides inside small delays. I'll do it later. And before you know it, the moment slips away, doors shut, clarity dims, and you're left asking yourself why you're still trapped in the same place. I'm here to speak truth. There is a spiritual opening available to you right now. If you pause too long, you may miss it. Don't confuse God's patience with permission to delay. There is a season for waiting and there is a season for action. This is your season to move. And what if you don't obey? The same wounds repeat. The same heaviness stays. The transformation never starts. But if you listen, if you follow the instruction given, then God will release what he promised. The decision is yours. This isn't rooted in fear. It's rooted in freedom. Obey, and you'll step into a new realm of purpose, power, and peace. Ignore the moment, and you'll continue spinning inside the same cycles. Obedience opens doors that prayer alone cannot. There is something holy about seeing yourself reflected not only in a mirror but in water. In that quiet surface, you don't just see features. You see your soul. You see your wounds. You see your longing. You feel the hunger for something greater. And as you look through the lens of obedience, your spirit begins to awaken. This is more than imagery. This is the moment you stand before your truest self. We live in a world overflowing with noise, opinions, and chaos, yet water cuts through all of it. It calms, it slows your spirit. It invites you to be present. And when your eyes meet that still reflection after placing the paper and seeds, something begins to move deeply inside you. Call it presence, call it the Holy Spirit, call it whatever your faith knows. But what you're feeling is a divine activation. You're watching your own rebirth unfold. You're remembering the person you were before life wounded you. This is your awakening, the hour when your dormant gifts begin to rise again. The moment your real identity surfaces. Not the identity the world labeled you with, but the one God has always spoken over you. And it all activates in one moment of obedience, seeing your reflection, respecting the ritual, giving sacred room to what was meant to awaken you to the truth of your divine design. You've been holding too much for too long, pain that never belonged to you, mental barriers that were never meant to stay, hidden walls that halt your progress the moment you're close to breakthrough. You tried therapy, you tried distractions, but now God is handing you a sacred act to dismantle what has been dismantling you. This overnight ritual is not random. It is revolutionary. It is heaven's tool for your liberation. Limits aren't only on the outside. They hide in your thinking, your heart, your nervous system. Pain has trained your mind to anticipate more hurt. But this simple ritual, this water, this blank page, these black seeds, they interrupt that old programming. They send a signal deep into your soul and spirit. I am no longer bound to what once happened. And as the seeds absorb, as the paper yields, the limitations that once held you begin to melt away. Your destiny begins to open. This is not about hoping. It is about aligning with God. Your role is obedience. God's role is transformation. And it all begins tonight with a cup of water, a moment of quiet, and a heart fully surrendered. Don't let this moment pass. Don't shrink back from the sacred. The instructions have been delivered. Now it is your turn to follow them. And when you do, be ready. Because what's about to fall off your life will feel like chains snapping in the dark. So often we carry burdens we never requested. Fear, financial pressure, emotional storms, patterns that flow through our family lines. You think this is just your struggle, but in reality, it is a generational cycle waiting to be shattered. And right now, God is giving you a divine action that doesn't cleanse only you. It breaks strongholds across your entire bloodline. That water, that blank page, those black seeds, they aren't insignificant. They are spiritual weapons forged against decades, even centuries of oppression. Generational curses are real. They show up as addiction, lack, fractured relationships, untimely loss, emotional instability. You didn't choose these patterns. They were inherited until this moment. Because you are the one chosen to end them. When you complete this sacred act, you're not just practicing a spiritual routine. You're standing in the gap for your lineage. Heaven is trusting you with an assignment that reshapes your spiritual legacy. What you break tonight may never be understood by those around you, but your obedience will echo into the lives of your children and your children's children. You are the intercessor your family didn't realize it needed. This simple act of submerging, observing, and waiting is slicing through unseen chains, severing ancient ties, cutting off what would have continued, but now ends with you. You are rewriting your family's legacy through obedience. As the paper sinks and the black seeds fall, see yourself not merely healing. See yourself rewriting destiny, reversing what your ancestors were unable to repair, reclaiming what was stolen long before you were born. This is not just a moment. This is generational impact. You are the curse breaker, and it starts tonight. In ancient practice, black seeds were not only symbols of healing, they were shields. Physical, emotional, spiritual. They formed a barrier, a heavenly covering. When you release them into the water, you aren't just activating restoration. You are activating spiritual protection. Protection from unseen attacks. Protection from draining energy. Protection from spiritual interference designed to rob your peace. Have you ever entered a space and felt tension for no reason, or left a conversation suddenly exhausted though nothing was said? That is spiritual warfare, and many walk through life completely unprotected. But you have been handed a tool not just to endure, but to intentionally fortify yourself. That glass of water becomes a spiritual barrier when consecrated by obedience. God didn't merely hand you a message, He placed armor in your hands. Those black seeds resting in water overnight function like a spiritual sponge, absorbing and pulling out hidden contamination. What was once meant to damage you begins to reverse its direction. Every curse, every malicious word, every unseen arrow loses power when you treat this instruction not as an optional idea, but as a sacred appointment of protection. Do not be misled. You are in a spiritual battle, yet you are far from defenseless. The moment you honor this command, you rise up in the invisible realm and declare, I am no longer uncovered. I am guarded. I am chosen. I am defended. There are moments in life when heaven opens a rare window, one of grace, revelation, and rapid spiritual movement. These openings do not remain forever. They are divine appointments, and when they close, the atmosphere shifts. Right now, a heavenly clock is hovering above your life, and this instruction, the paper, the water, the act, is your access point into that open window. You felt the pressure, the push, the urgency rising inside you. That isn't fear. It is spiritual momentum. The enemy wants you doubting or hesitating so that you miss this moment. But heaven is whispering, move now, don't postpone. When God gives an instruction within a divine window, it means the atmosphere around you is prepared for transformation. You must respond while the timing is aligned. In science, certain reactions occur only under exact conditions. The same is true in the spirit. Right now, your hunger for breakthrough, your internal readiness, and this divine instruction are aligned like a cosmic key turning in a sacred lock. If you act within this window, heaven will move, and the shift will feel nothing short of supernatural. But timing is everything. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. This isn't burdensome, it's an honor. You've been chosen to respond during a holy alignment. This moment was scheduled for your destiny. Don't ignore it. Don't hesitate. The steps are simple. The timing sacred. Now heaven waits, not for your perfection, but for your obedience. The window is open. Move. You are not the identity trauma tried to assign you. You are not the failures people used to define you. You are not the childhood that attempted to shape your worth. Somewhere along life's journey, false labels were written over your spirit. You absorbed lies about your value, your voice, your purpose. But this prophetic act, this soaking ritual, is God calling you back to your original design. The blueprint He etched into your spiritual DNA long before the world touched you. When the blank page is submerged, you symbolize returning to the pure version of yourself. The paper represents identity without distortion. The water symbolizes God's spirit, washing away false names, emotional damage, and lingering residue. The black seeds restore balance, clarity, and spiritual wholeness. Science tells us that the body holds trauma, that cells remember wounds even when the mind tries to move on. But this act speaks directly to that inner memory. It commands reset, realign, restore. It reminds your soul and body of who you truly are, no longer trapped, no longer fractured. You aren't just healing, you are returning to your authentic self. This isn't basic restoration, it is a spiritual identity reset. And when the water settles, when the ritual concludes, you will sense the shift. Shame loosens its grip. Doubt quietly fades. The haze lifts because something deeper than emotion is changing. Your spiritual DNA whispers, welcome home. The real you has finally emerged. There's a reason your voice has felt suppressed, a reason creativity froze, a reason you questioned every thought. The enemy fears what happens when your voice is unbound, because your voice carries authority and revelation. This act, this sacred soaking, is not just healing, it is unlocking your voice. Water has always been connected to sound. Science shows it holds vibration. Spiritually, when you place the blank page in water and release the seeds, you soak the silence and the word within becomes awakened. For the scripture says, if you love me, obey my commands. And again, If you fully obey the Lord your God and follow his instructions, he will set you high above all nations. And again, I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God made it grow. This act, the page, the water, the seeds, is your obedience, your faith in motion, your alignment taking form. Like a seed buried in faith and watered through obedience, God himself will bring the increase. So tonight be still. Prepare your atmosphere. Place the paper in the water. Drop in the black seeds. Bow your spirit. Look into the stillness. You are not simply doing a ritual, you are stepping into breakthrough. You are meeting your restored self. Clothed in new spiritual garments. You are activating transformation, and in the days to come you will feel it. Mental clarity where confusion lived. Emotional lightness where heaviness sat. Fresh ideas flowing. Doors opening. A shift in your atmosphere you cannot explain yet unmistakably feel. Chosen one, you've been summoned. The instruction is direct. The timing is now. The action is yours. Obey, and the river of divine life will begin to flow into every part of you. The miracle has already been released. Your transformation has begun. Tonight is the pivot point. Step forward. Your miracle starts now.